Welcome in. Today we will be watching 13 things about the USA I can't live without anymore. Now this is from a German girl, and basically I'm just here to find out what I'm taking for granted, because between you and I can only think of two good things. There's a McDonald's on every corner and a gun on every waistband. Yeehaw, brother. No, but seriously, I literally don't know. So let's find out what I'm taking for granted. Let's see what's up.
It's been 5 years of me living in the US, so what do I really think of this country after all this time? Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia, I'm originally from Munich, Germany, and 5 years ago—
Bro, why does German doesn't make sense? Munich? Brother, that says Munchen. That's some crazy spelling, with all due respect.
Today is when I arrived in the US for my first long-term stay here. I had been to the US for a 2-week-long high school exchange and for vacation
A
before.
high school exchange. Question. Do you need to be like extremely rich to have a high school exchange from Europe to America? Because like for Americans to go to Europe in high school, you need to be like obscenely rich. Like rich, you know what I'm saying? I wonder how it is in Europe. I assume the same, but I don't know. Let me know if you do know.
But I had never actually lived here until August 13th, 2016,
When did this come out? This came out 2 years ago? Okay, so she's got like 6 years? Okay.
I got on a plane from Munich to Paris and then from Paris to Cincinnati to start my exchange semester at the University of Cincinnati. And what was supposed to be just a 5-month-long stay turned into me coming back over and over again on different visas until I received my green card in September 2019. If you want to learn more about me winning the green card lottery, I'm gonna link the videos
The green card lottery?
and also
There's a green card lottery? What is that? What does that mean? So as you can see, I looked it up, and that's literally a thing. That's not a play on words. It's really called the green card lottery or the diversity immigrant visa program. But basically, the diversity immigrant visa program awards up to 50,000 immigrant visas each year. All right, cool.
Here. Since that day 5 years ago, I haven't been in the US permanently. I spent a little over a year in Germany during that time too, but I still consider this my 5-year US anniversary.
All right, so she'll have a really good perspective because she's like chilling in America for a bit, going back to Germany, coming back to America, etc., etc.
And I think this is a great occasion for a recap, which is why I want to share 13 things, since today is August 13th, about the US with you that I don't want to—
Good thing she didn't pick August 30th. I don't know if you could name 30, with all due respect.
Live without anymore after living here for 5 years. I also made a list of things that I still can't get used to here in the US after all this time, which might be an even more interesting topic even, but I figured it would sound a little snooty to celebrate this anniversary by basically listing all the complaints I
talk
have.
your trash, let them know.
So I'm sharing the positive things with you guys today and then giving you the other side next week. Oh, and if you follow me on Instagram or watch my YouTube stories, you probably know that I'm actually in Germany at the time that you're watching.
For the record, like I'm not blurring this. She's blurring this. Imagine if I was that much of a jerk, like blurring someone else's video that I'm reacting to.
But I'm recording this here in Cincinnati right now. Number 1 on my list of things about the US that I don't want to live without anymore is air conditioning.
Oh, my bad. Correct. I love air conditioning. I would literally die without air conditioning. I don't know how you European lads do it. I'm also a Twitch streamer and I have a lot of British Twitch streamer friends. And like during summer of this year, or I guess last year, they were dying with no AC. I'm like, how are you existing? What do you mean there's no air conditioner? My mind was blown. So shout out to you guys for just existing in the summer. Could not be me. I would not be able to function. So she might have just peaked right there. I can't think of anything better than air conditioning, to be honest.
Yes, no, it's pretty normal in the US to have air conditioning in buildings, whether that's stores, public buildings, or private
Wait,
homes.
it's not even in the stores in Europe? I thought it was just the houses. You're telling me you go into a pharmacy in Europe, there's a like high chance there's no air conditioning? That's crazy if true.
More modern buildings even have central air conditioning usually, where the air gets circulated through these air vents that you'll find in every room. Now,
so where I'm from, New York, we normally don't have central air. Like I have an air conditioner in my window. Can't you European fellas just do that? Can't you just put an air conditioner in the window? Or are your windows different? I think like Germany has weird windows that don't close straight down. They like open at a tilt or something. So I guess maybe that wouldn't work. That might be why.
Why is this so special? For those of you who don't know, in Europe and actually in most countries of the world, it's actually not standard to have air conditioning inside of buildings. Now, in one of
Insane.
my pretty early videos, I actually said that I wasn't a big fan of central AC, and many of you guys commented that I wouldn't say that if I lived in a hotter area. Now, first of all, Cincinnati does get extremely hot.
No, yeah,
and
I was gonna say like it's gonna get extremely hot and humid. Let's hear her reasoning. So far, this is sounding insane to me. I'm sure she's went back on it since she just listed air conditioning, but let's hear the original reasoning.
especially humid in the summer.
Yeah.
This year it's been fluctuating a little bit more, but usually from about April to September, it's 80 to 90 degrees almost the whole time with a really high humidity, which often makes it pretty hard to deal with. It'll get over 100 degrees a lot too, so like
Hell.
around 38 degrees Celsius. Now, of course, we also have cold winters here, but it's not like we don't deal with the heat here at all. If you look at the longitude, Cincinnati is about the same level as Ibiza in Spain or Sardinia in Italy. The reason why I said I didn't love central AC back then was because when living with other people or in public buildings like at a university, Americans often really overdo it with the AC.
Okay,
Instead
this is fair, and this is certainly true. Do you remember how I was telling you I have like an air conditioner in my window? Technically, that means like you're gonna get draft from the outside, like quite a bit. It's not like a super tight seal. Like birds can't fly in your window, of course, but like a bug could crack, like slip through the cracks a little bit. It's not completely sealed, but basically what I'm getting at is in the winter, a lot of Americans will not like bring their AC in. Like they'll leave it in the window so you get the cold air from the outside kind of creeping in. And even sometimes we will put our AC on in the winter. My mom's especially guilty of that. So I get her on that front.
Instead of setting the temperature to a normal average room temperature inside that would already feel cold compared to the hot summer air outside, it often feels like an actual fridge inside. I'm not kidding, people often set it to like 16 to 18 degrees Celsius,
Yeah.
like around 63 degrees Fahrenheit.
So the lowest like window unit goes to is 60 degrees. So checks out. I can't remember ever seeing an air conditioner set to something above 70. I don't think I've ever seen that. Like it goes higher, but I've never seen anyone purposely put it higher than 70 Fahrenheit. I don't know Celsius. You can do the conversion.
Which to me is just as inconvenient as the outdoor temperature. It's just the other extreme. Plus, you usually wear short summer clothes during that time, and it's pretty annoying to always basically have to carry a sweater with you in the middle of the summer because you'll need it when you go inside. So that was one reason why I said that back then. And then the other reason was that I find it kind of annoying that in a bigger house, when you live with your family or roommates, it's all regulated centrally. So you can't turn it up or down or even off just in your room or just in the living room.
I guess that's one benefit to the window units. You can set it to like just your room.
If the rest of the people want the AC on, you have to live with it. At most places you can usually close your vent in your room, but that doesn't usually make that big of a difference. I'd personally like it better if you could regulate the temperature individually in every room.
I feel like this is
remember
set
that
up
5
with
years
central
ago
air
when
as
I
well.
came here on my exchange semester in August, I was sitting in my room doing homework or something, and I was wearing my warm winter clothes that I had brought for later on in the semester, and I was also wearing a scarf because I found it so cold inside. And I also
That's
got
crazy.
sick for like a
A
few
scarf
weeks straight
inside?
right after I came here because the AC was so cold. But besides that, I think it's awesome that AC exists here because it helps a lot with the humidity, and it's also just really, really nice to be in a restaurant or even in a club with a dance floor.
Oh
and
my
not have
God. A club with no AC? Brother, the smell. Get me out of there.
to sweat
In Paris, no less? No shot. You couldn't pay me enough.
your ass off. In Germany, when it's hot everywhere usually. On the subway, in restaurants, at school, in the office. But here, you don't usually have to worry about your legs sticking to a chair when sitting down in the summer, so that's pretty awesome. Plus, ceiling fans are great too, so when I'm home in Germany in the summer, when it's actually hot there for once, I actually do miss both my AC and my ceiling fans. Number
Wait,
two-
Europe doesn't have ceiling fans? I'm surprised by that. I feel like they do. Do they not?
is customer service. I know that many Germans don't share this opinion, especially the ones who only know this from vacation to the US or from the media, but once you've gotten used to it, American customer service is pretty amazing.
I'm like probably the weird one, but when I'm shopping, I don't necessarily want help. I just want to like go find my stuff, keep to myself. So like I'd probably prefer a German style of customer service, I assume. But they are usually very friendly and they do go above and beyond, I guess. Especially at places like Chick-fil-A and stuff. Certain places like Chick-fil-A and what's that grocery store called? Trader Joe's? They're like really, really leaning into customer service. Costco as well.
Whether it's at a store or a restaurant, overall, people working in customer service just treat you really nicely.
In America, as you guys know, we have to tip. So I think that might be why customer service at a restaurant is better. Because, you know, their performance, it's dependent upon the tip. Or their tip is dependent upon the performance.
Here. They'll be friendly, make small talk with you, and usually try to accommodate every request you might have, even if you're basically asking to create a whole new meal that isn't on the menu. In Germany, you'd probably just get an answer along the lines of, "That's not possible." Not even a sorry in a lot of cases.
Can you at least like remove like food from the menu? I'm saying that's so weird, but for example, if a burger comes with mayo, I could say, "Hey, let me get this burger with no mayo," right? Because if I can't, then I'm going to cry and I'm going to starve to death.
Of course, this isn't always the case, but overall, this is a difference that really sticks out. And even though many Germans say that they prefer the direct and sometimes even unfriendly German customer service, I really haven't met anyone who says that after living here for a while. It definitely takes a little bit to get used to the American way, because as a German, it might seem disingenuous at first, maybe even fake and over the top, but it's kind of like a cultural language that you'll have to learn how to speak and understand first, and I personally don't want to live without it anymore. I've had so many people working in customer service just make my day much better just by being friendly or exchanging.
I can't really relate at all, but then again, I've never known the opposite.
Some nice small talk. It can even make running errands a much more pleasant experience. I just recently told a story about when I had to get my Ohio driver's license renewed on the podcast. That was a perfect example of this too, so I'll just link that episode down below. Of course, I know that, especially in the food service industry, a lot of the good customer service goes back to the staff being paid only a few dollars an hour and mainly relying on tips.
Yeah, see,
but
she mentioned
you'll experience the good customer service in other fields as well, where people are paid much better. So I would argue that it's much more than just the tipping culture. Another cool thing about the US is that there are so many entrepreneurs and creatives in this country that you can learn from. For example, on Skillshare, which is today's sponsor.
Decent ad
Skillshare
pivot.
is an online learning community where millions
With that
of
said,
people
this
come
is an old
together to
video,
take
so we're
the
skipping
next
ahead.
step
Handshakes.
The next point on my list is convenience. I feel like this one is a pretty obvious one, but the US really
I'm going to need to hear where she's going, but I suppose this is super convenient. Then again, I live in like a mega city, so.
Is the country of consumption and convenience. You need some milk, a new bathing suit, and a new lamp for your living room? Just go to first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description box below. We'll get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. The next point on my list is convenience. I feel like this one is a pretty obvious one, but the US really is the country of consumption and convenience. You need some milk, a new bathing suit, and a new lamp for your living room? Just go to Walmart or Target or any of those stores and you'll find everything in one store. Plus, there's most likely also gonna be a Starbucks in there too. You're in a hurry, but you need to stop by the store for a couple things? No worries, just run in, check out at the self-checkout machine, and usually you don't even need to bring your wallet, just pay with your phone. If you realize at midnight on a Sunday that you're out of tomatoes, no worries, just go to the grocery store. Many of them don't close until 1 a.m. or never.
Yeah, I agree with everything she said. I just assumed Europe had this as well. So if not, major USW, in my opinion. I do love the convenience of everything.
And stores aren't closed on Sundays like they are in Germany. What a dream.
Damn, is Germany like mad religious, mad Christian, or is that just, you know, like work-life balance diff?
You can just have the tomatoes delivered or order takeout from a restaurant with services like Uber Eats or DoorDash or Grubhub, etc. And of course, a big part of this whole convenience thing is also the fact that here in the Midwest, you can just drive to places and you'll usually find parking pretty easily, and the parking spots are huge.
Yeah, but like you need to drive. I disagree with this being convenient. I think the convenience of like what I assume is most European towns, like it's more walkable, right? Like you don't need a car to survive with the public transportation. So I'm going to say that's not a plus for America, in my opinion.
Compared to Germany, and so are the streets. Driving here in Ohio is just so relaxing compared to driving.
Yeah, but can you speed? Can you speed forever with no speed limit in Cincinnati? I didn't think so. German W, shout out to Autobahn.
And especially parking in Munich. Is it environmentally friendly? Definitely not. Is it convenient though? Unfortunately, yes. Along with the big streets and parking spots also goes the fact that there's just a lot more space in this country than in Germany. Everything is huge here, and I especially enjoy that when it comes to living spaces.
Yeah, so this should be no, you know, it's fair to say 13 things about the USA because this is most of America. But I am from New York, and most people who live in cities do not have space. We pay far too much money for what is essentially like a shoebox of an apartment. It is not a good time. It's extremely crowded. I cannot relate to this one at all, but most of Americans probably can. Specifically Midwestern Americans, which is what she is now, I guess.
Houses, bedrooms, closets, fridges, all of that is just so much bigger in the US, and especially here in Ohio, living space is still relatively inexpensive compared to Munich, which is the most expensive city to live in Germany.
Well, yeah, Munich is like relevant. Ohio's a pretty irrelevant state, you know what I mean?
Here, when people say that they have a tiny bedroom, it's still big for German standards.
Listen, I know I just said that. Can you guys tell me what the square footage of a common German bedroom is? Because I'll tell you, mine's probably like 90 square feet. If that is considered big in Germany, then my bad for calling this a closet bedroom. But just remember, mine's actually the biggest one in the apartment. So, yikes.
Usually. And in Ohio, you can buy a regular house with, let's say, 2 or 3 bedrooms for like $100,000 to $200,000.
You sure, sister? Not anymore. Not even in the irrelevant Midwest. It's a little bit too expensive nowadays.
While even just an apartment with 3 bedrooms in Munich is usually over $1 million. The fifth thing that I really wouldn't want to miss about the US is how easy it is to connect with people here. Americans in general are just so open to meeting new people and making new friends. You can combine friend groups pretty easily if you're having a party or a barbecue, and especially as someone who's new to a country, it's a lot easier to find friends than it would be in Germany, where friend groups tend to be a little more closed off and long term. Plus, I feel like Americans are great at genuinely being interested in another person's story and finding common ground, even if you're really different people on the surface.
I can't really speak too much on this one because, like I said, America is all I know. I don't know if I think Americans are particularly friendly and open and welcoming, though I guess that is the stereotype of them. But me personally, I wouldn't describe myself like that per se. I'm nice, you know, I'm a polite guy. But I think I'd say I'm more closed off in person than super open and welcoming. And as far as the people around me, I don't know, man. I just think this is like very dependent on the human. But I'll trust her since she was in Germany first.
Number 6 is pretty simple, but it has become an absolute essential part of my life. Kettle corn. It's a mix of sweet and salty popcorn, and it's the absolute best snack in the world. The best store brand for kettle corn is Boom Chicka Pop, by the way. They're not sponsoring me, even though they should, so...
Now, I don't know if I've ever had this specifically, but I've had like some sweet popcorn. It's pretty good. I've had like Cracker Jacks. Is this uniquely American? That's surprising.
If anyone working for Boom Chicka Pop is watching, shoot me an email. But jokes aside, in Germany it's actually standard to eat sweet popcorn at the movie theater.
Oh.
So if you don't specify otherwise, ordering popcorn means ordering sweet popcorn.
That's interesting. So in America, ordering popcorn is going to be buttery and salty. But I guess the brand she's referring to specifically with the kettle corn, I guess that's a mix of both.
Not even mixed, just sweet. In the US, popcorn is salty by default and often has a butter
Why did I even explain it?
sauce on top, so it's more of a salty and buttery snack, and they'll also put things like cheese powder on it, which has grown on me too.
Yeah, you know what? You know what hits real hard? Not this one, but similar. White cheddar popcorn. I highly recommend any EU lads watching this to try finding white cheddar popcorn. It's very good.
To be honest, but the creme de la creme is still kettle corn. Number 7 is carpet in houses. It's a lot more common in the US to have carpeted floors in the living room, but especially in the bedrooms, than it is in Germany. In Germany, that's
I got hardwood. This is a pre-war building, though. I feel like where I live is more close to EU than the rest of America, but you know.
A rather outdated thing, and you won't see a lot of houses with carpet anymore these days. You'll mostly find hardwood floors there, parquet usually. And that's because most Germans prefer hardwood floors, and nowadays a lot of Americans do too, but I love how common carpet is here because I just find it so much more cozy to wake up in the morning and walk on soft, fluffy carpet rather than walking on cold and slippery hardwood floors. One big thing that I'd like for Germany to adopt, so this is my official request, Germany, is the amount of pools that you'll find here in the US. Not just private pools that you'll find in someone's backyard, but neighborhood pools or pools in apartment buildings.
Do you want to swim in a bunch of people's pee? If so, this is where you go. I used to swim in a ton of people's pee when I was a little guy. It was a neighborhood pool. Now, I didn't pee in the pool as a little guy, I swear. I truly didn't. And I didn't think anyone else did back then either. But, you know, now that I've grown up, I'm like, oh, I was deaf underwater and like at least a couple liters of pee.
It's not a common thing at all in Germany, but here, if you live in the suburbs or a more residential neighborhood, it's super common that there's a public pool that everyone living in the neighborhood.
Even in like the city, there are like neighborhood pools as well. It doesn't need to be suburban, excuse me. It was a very urban area and there was a pool there. Pretty cool.
Can use. And many apartment complexes.
With that said, I would never go into it now because, you know, pee.
Have a pool too, kind of like a hotel. There are even student apartment buildings with pools here. And needless to say, in the summer, that's just really awesome. You either have a pool in your own neighborhood or you'll go to the one in your friend's neighborhood or building. And they often have public grills too. The next thing that I love.
Don't you guys have like YMCA-esque gyms with pools? I feel like it's similar to that.
In the US in my daily life is the bar culture. I feel like overall it's a...
Believe it or not, your boy doesn't drink, so I can't relate to this one at all. But we'll listen to what she has to say. Actually, that's surprising. I feel like Germany is known for their beer Oktoberfest and whatnot, but I guess the bar culture specifically is different. Let's see what she says.
Much bigger bar/pub culture here than in Germany, especially compared to Munich, where we don't have a lot of bars where you just go in and get a drink at the bar and then stand around or sit on a bar stool. Most places have table service, and if you want to go party, you'll usually go to a club where you'll have to pay a cover fee and where the party doesn't really start until 1 a.m. or later. Here in the US, I just love how many, let's call them non-binding bars there are where nobody cares whether you order something or not, and you can just get a beer for $3, or at least here in Cincinnati you can, and you can hang out, and many bars even have a dance floor too. No cover fee, and since in Ohio and many other American states, the sale of alcohol has to end by 2 a.m., most bars close at 2 or 2:30 a.m. Sounds early, and you might wonder, why would I like that? Well, I like it because it means that people start partying much earlier, and I get to go to sleep at pretty much my normal sleep time, because I'm a night owl, and I don't have to ruin the entire next day.
She said owl, right? Why'd she put the little correction there? It sounded good to me.
Like in Germany, where you often stay out until 6 a.m. or later, because the party doesn't even really start until late at night. Plus, going out here is much cheaper since a lot of the bars simply have a dance floor and you don't need to pay a cover fee, so it's more flexible, better hours in my opinion, and a lot cheaper. Plus, I like the music much better too. I'm not really into EDM. And
you don't like the Eurovision music? Come on. Actually, like all memes aside, I love Euro dance music. I truly do.
In my opinion, Germans don't have great taste in music because they don't have a lot of rhythm, so everything is always just boom, 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 like the same beat the whole night. So I personally just like the music here in the US a lot better. Another really important one is Mexican food. With Mexico being...
yes, sir. So I'm from New York, and we're actually considered to have trash Mexican food, or at least we were. I think now, you know, we're on the up and up. I love Mexican food. This is one of my favorite foods. Like, gun to my head, you tell me to name like my two favorite cuisines, I'm probably going to blurt out Italian and Mexican. It's just so good. I love Mexican food. I feel bad for anyone who has never had legit Mexican food, or even like Tex-Mex, which is, you know, Mexican food with a Texas influence, or I guess more so Texas food with a Mexican influence. It's really good stuff.
Right across the border, and Mexicans being the biggest immigrant group here, you'll find Mexican restaurants everywhere, which we don't really have in Germany. Now, before you guys comment, oh, but it's not real Mexican food, it's Tex-Mex, it's Americanized. Well, first of all, that tastes really good too.
Yes,
but
sir. Let them know.
even in Cincinnati, in the Midwest, there are numerous authentic Mexican restaurants as well. I've never been to Mexico myself, but if Mexicans who live here say that it's authentic, I'll believe them. You don't have to travel to certain states to find good Mexican food. It's really all over the country. The next point is something that I've talked about a little
But they say California does have the best, and I believe them.
more in detail in this video, but I really like the positive mindset in the American culture. This is a generalization, of course, but
It is
overall,
certainly a generalization because I'm a pretty negative dude, believe it or not. I'm a little cynical. I'm a cynical little fella over here.
all Americans have an attitude that's much more, let's try it, what could go wrong, rather than Germans who are often more like, why would we try that? Something could go wrong. I like to summarize it like this. When Germans would say, why are you doing that? Americans are often more like, why not? Which is something that I personally just really enjoy because I find it to be a much more supportive environment to be creative personally and live your life how you want to live it and not how other people expect you to live it.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like pretty judged over here for being a little like internet cartoon skull, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I think this is a generalization. This might be more so that Germans have a negative mindset than Americans have a positive mindset from the way she's describing it.
Pretty sure I wouldn't have this YouTube channel if it weren't for that positive and encouraging mindset here. Number 12 on my list is flexibility, by which I mostly mean that compared to Germany, when it comes to moving or your job, things are a lot more spontaneous and you can decide things much more last minute here. Like, well, in Germany, it's common that you have to give a 3 months notice to quit your job or being fired. It's only a 2 weeks notice here.
Well, that's because, like, in America, your job does not care about you at all. You barely get any benefits. In, like, Germany, like, they kind of respect you. From what I've heard anyway, you get some good benefits, so you don't want to screw over the company. In America, I implore you to screw over the company. They don't even deserve a 2 weeks notice, if I'm being real with you. Like, 99% of the time. But then if you don't give the 2 weeks notice, you will get a scathing report when, you know, they check in with the past employers about what type of employee you were. But sometimes they don't even check, so you can get away with it.
For salary jobs, which obviously has a lot of downsides too, but I kind of like how it makes life a little bit more flexible. Even more so with housing, if you rent a place, it's usually a 1-year lease in the US. If you want to stay after that year, you can usually re-sign the lease for another.
You can re-sign the lease, but the dirty scumlords will... they're going to increase the rent. So if you don't want to get your rent increased each year, which is probably the same in Germany, I'd imagine, you don't want to go for just a 1-year lease, which sucks, but you know.
Another year, but it kind of encourages a lot of people to move a lot, which again might be perceived as something negative, but I personally like how it's normal for people to move around.
It is beyond negative. Sister, you are crazy. Moving is one of the worst things on earth, especially if you're not on the first floor. It is hell hauling up all those recliners up these stairs. Brother, I hate it here. I can't believe she's saying this is a positive. She's trying to turn it into a positive. It's not really a positive.
A lot and thereby keep their lives interesting and keep their options open as to where and how they're gonna live in the future. In Germany, leases are usually unlimited and people move a lot less in general. If you buy a house in Germany, you usually plan on staying there permanently or at least for a really long time, whereas Americans often just buy houses and then sell them again after a few years to move somewhere new. And last but not least, a thing that I could have included in my point on convenience, but I felt like it deserved to have its own point on the list is drive-thrus. One of the most
okay. This is good.
American and most convenient things ever. There are really drive-thrus everywhere here for fast food restaurants, obviously, but also for Starbucks and other coffee shops, pharmacies, banks.
I would classify Starbucks as fast food still.
So like drive-through ATMs, drive-through vaccines, which is how I got my COVID vaccine, drive-through convenience stores, or even liquor stores. And apparently
A drive-through liquor store just sounds terrible.
or even drive-through wedding chapels. You can definitely call it lazy, but it's also part of that.
I feel like that's specifically a Las Vegas thing, a drive-through wedding chapel. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't call that normal.
American convenience that has kind of seduced me in a way. It's just so comfortable to be in your own car, not worrying about what you look like really, waiting in line while sitting down with your own music, but still getting food and completing other errands. And that wraps up my list of 13 things about the US that I don't want to live without anymore after living here for 5 years.
All right, well, that was a fun video. Let me go through these real quick again. So the AC was a W for sure. I took that for granted. Customer service and whatever, you know. Convenience, I take that for granted as well. Space, I don't have it. Connecting with people, not for me. Kettle corn, not for me. I feel like Germany has kettle corn too, to be honest. Carpeted floors, whatever. Neighborhood pools, it's a pee pool. Bar culture, not for me. Mexican food, for me, yes sir, I love it. Positive mindset, can't relate. Flexibility, you're insane if you think moving a lot is a good thing. Drive-throughs, yes sir. So some W's, some L's. I hope you enjoyed my insight as an American living in America on what a German person can't live without anymore from America. That was a fun video. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, I'll see you then.